Good morning, boys and girls. Happy Tuesday. It is April 21st, and we are going to continue with our new math unit, which is all about multiplication. So our objective for today says, today I will write an equation to express an even number as the sum of two equal addends. So you're going to repeat after me, as usual. Today I will write an equation to express an even number as the sum of two equal addends. Nice job. So that is a lot of words. That objective might not make sense to you just yet, but don't worry, it will. So let's hop down to our vocabulary words. We have one vocabulary word today, and it is equation. Can everybody say equation? Sounds perfect. So an equation is a number sentence that shows equal values on both sides of an equal sign. So I have two examples here. I have two examples because there are two different ways that you can write an equation. And you're probably more familiar with one type, so you have to start to familiarize yourself with the other type. So the one that you're probably less familiar with looks like this. It says 10 equals 5 plus 5. So the sum, 10, is the total, and it actually comes first in this number sentence. And then 5 and 5 are both addends, and they come second. So they come after the equal sign. This is probably not how you normally see equations written, but this is another perfectly fine way to write an equation. You're probably more familiar with this type. So it says 5 plus 5 equals 10. So the two addends, 5 and 5, come first. And then after the equal sign is where you will find the sum. But remember, either one of these types of equations is totally perfect. It's just a preference of how you would like to write it. And then I have a model down below with some magnets. So I have rows again. Okay, in fact, I have 5 rows, and I have 2 columns today. So I have 2 equations that match this model, that represent this model, and I have used the columns, so vertical, up and down, to help me write my equations. So because I have 1, 2 columns, and I just count up my magnets that I have in each of those columns to find what my addends are. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And since I have 5 in this first column, I know that I must also have 5 in my second column because they match up perfectly, okay? So I have 5 plus 5 equals 10 altogether. So these 2 equations represent this model, all right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to model a couple of problems for you so that you know what to do in your independent practice pages today. The directions at the top of the page say solve. Then the first problem, number 1, says write an equation expressing the number 6 as a sum of 2 equal addends. So all I'm going to do for this problem is I'm going to find those 2 columns. I see that I have 1 column and then I have another column. So all I have to do, remember, is count up the number of objects in the first column and then count up the number of objects in the second column. The numbers that I count up are going to let me know what my addends are for my equation. And remember, I only want 2 addends. I only want 2 of them, and they're going to be equal, which means they need to be the same addend, okay? So if it's helpful for you, you can actually write your equation like this because you know that you're going to need to have 2 addends. So 1 line for the first addend, a second line for the second addend, and then you also know you're going to need a plus sign because it's an equation, and then you're going to need an equal sign because it is an equation. And then the total or the sum is going to come last. So you can set it up just like this too if that's helpful for you. Otherwise you can just use the line that they gave you. So I have 1, 2, 3 objects in my first column. So I write the number 3 as my first addend. I know that I also have 3 in my second column because if I were going to pair up these x's, I would find that they all have a partner. I also know that they're equal because the directions tell me to have equal addends. So if I end up with 2 addends that are different, like for example, if my second addend said 6 instead of 3, I would know that I'd made a mistake. And then here, of course, is just where I write the sum, or the total. So 3 plus 3 is equal to 6. If I'm not sure, I can also just double check by counting the number of objects in my model. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or I could skip count. 2, 4, 6. Check. The second problem says, represent 16 as the sum of 2 equal addends by, first, drawing a picture, and then second, writing an equation. So already I know that I am going to have 2 addends, 1, 2, and I know that I'm also going to have a sum. So I can go ahead and create those 3 spots in my equation so that I know where to put everything. I also know that I'm going to need a plus sign and I'm going to need an equal sign. So I can set up my equation just like that. And then I know that the total should be 16, so my sum should be equal to 16. I'm going to write it there just as a reminder. Now I'm going to come up to the top in the blank space and I'm going to write in 1 line. And I'm doing that so that I have 2 columns, 1 on this side and 1 on this side, because that's where I'm going to draw my 16 pictures. So I'm just going to choose a shape. Any shape will do. It could be a letter, like in number 1 they used X's. I'm going to use a shape though. And I'm just going to count 1 at a time, making pairs until I get to the number 16. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Almost ran out of space there. And now I can count up each number, or the number of objects in each column, and that will tell me what my addend is going to be. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in my first column. And remember, I want my addends to be equal. So this one should also be 8, but I'm just going to make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have 8 plus 8 equals 16. All right, so now that I'm done going over our objective and our important vocabulary, and then you watch me model a couple of problems, it's your turn to get started with the independent practice pages. So as always, you're going to head over to Google Classroom. You'll find you have 2 options as usual. Option 1 is to print off the worksheets and to do them by hand. If you choose option 1, you still need to 1, upload a picture of your work, and 2, do a math presentation. So you will still follow the Seesaw presentation link from Google Classroom into Seesaw to do your presentation. If you choose option 2, that means that you're doing the entire assignment on Seesaw. So you'll use the editable template on the first Seesaw link, and then you're going to also follow the Seesaw presentation link. Okay, I'll see your work in a little while. Good luck. Bye.